Hello everyone, Tasty Waffle here. Alright, it's time for the one you've all been waiting for. My review of The Dark Knight Rises. This is an outstanding film, and one of the year's best films. Now, this film has provoked a lot of controversy among fans, and there's been a lot of argument about whether or not it's a good film. Now, I will say that this is a very good film, but that's just my opinion. No one has to agree with my opinion, and this is just the way I feel about the movie. Now, if you don't necessarily agree, then that's fine. Also, when I say that I like the movie and thought it was very good, I am not saying that I'm ignoring the problems the movie has. I am still very aware that the movie has a lot of problems and a lot of plot holes and a lot of things don't work. But I think that the parts of the movie that were great and even excellent outdid the parts that were not so great. I'm not really going to talk about what didn't work in this movie because a lot of it's already been talked about to death. However, some of these so-called plot holes, I discovered that by watching the movie a few more times, I picked up on some things I had missed the first time around. And even the second time around, I picked up on some things that explained some of what was going on in the movie. So my initial questions about why did that happen were actually answered just by paying attention to what the movie had to say. So I would recommend anybody out there to probably see it a few more times before making a final judgment about it. Christopher Nolan movies, in their nature, are multi-leveled, and it's so hard to really pick up on everything the first time around. Kind of like Inception. I've seen Inception so many times, but it still doesn't. There's still more that I have not picked up on in that movie. The same thing goes here in The Dark Knight Rises. I think the acting here is top notch. I even think that Christian Bale actually does an even better job as an actor this time around. Well, more as Bruce Wayne. The Batman thing, we all know the elephant in the room there about the voice, which I actually don't mind, but it is a little silly. But as Bruce Wayne, he gives an even, I think, better performance than he's given in the last two movies. The other cast here, of course, you have your standard wonderful actors such as Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine, all giving strong work in their roles. And then you have some newcomers. Tom Hardy as Bane is really pretty good. Is he as menacing as the Joker? No. No, I wouldn't say so. He's definitely a very tough villain, and the interesting thing I noticed, and my brother pointed this out, was that every moment the Joker appeared in The Dark Knight, we were going, okay, this is going to be scary, but it's going to be kind of funny. Every time Bane shows up in The Dark Knight Rises, there is a feeling of dread and a feeling of, oh boy, this is not going to be fun. He is no one to be trifled with. He gives a really good performance. The voice is actually kind of menacing. There are moments where it is a little bit hard to understand, but I think that I was able to understand it pretty well after seeing it a few more times. Also, I think he does give a good performance here. There is a slight problem is that because of the mask, he can't really emote very much in his face, so it all has to be through his voice. And I think he did a pretty good job there. He's brutal, he's tough, he's no one to be trifled with. He really proves to be a good match for Batman, and in fact, an even more powerful person than Batman. Another newcomer, Selina Kyle, is played by Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway does a wonderful job here. I was a little bit afraid when I heard that she had been cast in the role of Catwoman / Selina Kyle, because I was thinking, cute little Anne Hathaway is going to pretend to be Catwoman. I was really afraid that I was going to go into the movie and only be able to see Anne Hathaway in a Catwoman outfit instead of seeing Selina Kyle. And I was completely wrong. She gives a magnificent performance here. She fits really well the Chris Nolan universe, and she became that character. And she's interesting and intriguing and alluring in a way, and she really does a good job as a good and holds her own against the other actors very well. You also have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as John Blake. He does a great performance here. He's an actor who I really hope gets his due with the Oscars one of these days, because he really is one of the best actors out there, and he's in everything this year. But he gives a wonderful job as the idealistic cop, John Blake, who is just a really interesting character and gets enough screen time where we actually care about him. Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, of course, does a good job as always, and the great Marion Cotillard gives a wonderful performance as Miranda Tate. But Marion Cotillard is an amazing actress, and Chris Nolan is so awesome with his cast, because he gets some of the best actors out there, and even actors who you wouldn't think of as fitting in a Chris Nolan movie, like Anne Hathaway, or even Robin Williams in Insomnia. Chris Nolan integrates them into his world, and they don't stick out like sore thumbs. And that's the sign of a great director. The direction here is magnificent. The visuals are great. The special effects are wonderful because there isn't really a lot. If there is CGI, it's very hard to identify it. Chris Nolan is a minimalist when it comes to spectacle in his movies, and usually does things as real as he possibly can. And the visuals here are astounding. The cinematography by Wally Pfister is quite brilliant. It looks just as wonderful as ever. This makes a brilliant concluding chapter to the saga, and the last 10 minutes of this movie are some of the best movie moments I have seen this year, if not the best. Now, with regards to the end of the movie, without giving too much away, I would like to say that this is a Chris Nolan movie. Don't take everything you see at face value. Allow your imagination some room. Expand your mind and allow yourself to consider possibilities that you would never consider, because this is a Chris Nolan movie. Not everything you see is what it seems, is as it seems when you first see it. There's a lot going on under the surface. The music, of course, is great. The sound is wonderful. This really is an amazing film because Batman fulfills his destiny in a way that I don't think the comics ever dared to go, and there's a lot more thought here. Chris Nolan is amazing because he doesn't follow the comics. He allows himself room to invent his own rules and invent his own universe, and it gives us an absolutely fresh take on the Batman universe. This is a wonderful conclusion. This is a film that needs to be seen many, many times before coming to a conclusion. Now, I like this movie. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's not for everyone. It's not going to satisfy everyone. I went into this movie not getting my hopes up too high because I knew it wasn't going to be as good as the other two. And it's not. It's not as good as the previous installment, at least. I think it's better than Batman Begins. But this is an amazing film, one of the year's best. I don't think it's going to I don't think it's going to get the big nominations at the Oscars, but I think the technical nominations for sure will happen. I will be doing an Oscar prediction video right before the Oscar announcements come out on the 10th. And so, this is my review of The Dark Knight Rises, an excellent conclusion to one of the greatest movie trilogies of the modern era. And that's my review. Thanks. Bye.